Story 1. I am so pissed off at my sister right now. She's angry at her own mistakes and isn't taking any accountability. This story only makes sense with a backstory. My sister graduated from our small-town high school a few years ago and wanted to go to a college with her preferred major, musical theater. But she never applied for scholarships, and our family couldn't afford sending her to a performing arts school out of state. So she took classes at the community college to stay on track. While she stayed home, she was supposed to get a job to pay for her community college classes, and for when she transfers because my parents don't make her pay rent, her car, or any luxuries that she had before she became an adult. But she blew all of her money off by going out with friends and buying frivolous stuff. When she told me she was going to stay here, I told her to open up a savings account, but she brushed me off. Now, she thinks it's the best time, months before she's supposed to graduate, to open a savings and save money she earns while working. That's only the backstory. The real story starts a few days ago. I went to my mom's office in between school and an extracurricular. My sister also works there. My mom comes up to the break room where I'm doing homework, and she tells me that my sister is mad at her. Turns out, she wants to go to a very expensive performing arts school and missed deadlines for auditioning for other schools. My mom told her that she and my dad won't be paying, and that she has no sympathy for missing something my mom told her to keep up with, and my sister got quiet. I thought nothing of it and went to practice as normal. When I got back, she explained what actually happened. These are just highlight clips from the real conversation. Mom said I couldn't go to expensive school. No, she said that they can't afford to send you out of state. Oh, but you can go out of state when you graduate. That's fair. The world is just against me. They can't afford it, that's the thing. I have to apply for scholarships to go to a school with a good program in my desired field. You could go anywhere. In theater, it's all about who you know. I was entirely and properly pissed off and walked away, not talking to her for the rest of the day. She was supposed to be able to go to wherever she wants, where I have to settle with a school with a bad program in my field, even though I've already started saving money to be able to start to afford where I want to go without my parents' help. She's done nothing for herself and is blaming the world because of it, where I have to stay up until 3 a.m. regularly because of all the work that piles up for school and different things to start looking at good colleges. And instead of looking for any college that she would be able to apply to, she went out with friends for the 3rd night in a row. My mom told her that she could probably take musical theater classes without declaring the major, but my sister threw a temper tantrum and locked herself in our room, locking me out. I'm done with her nonsense. I can't keep parenting my older sister to make good decisions. Anyways, this ran a bit longer than I wanted, but I had to talk about it. Like, why can't you just take accountability for your own actions? I want to talk to her about it, but all she does is cry and walk away. I don't know what to do next. Hopefully it won't end in arson. Story 2. This story happened 2 days ago. I live in New York, and the latest winter storm was just about to hit. I'm a 25-year-old female, wearing a big poofy red coat and a black hat with a giant puffball on top, leggings and boots. I'm 2'2", 150 pounds. I look like the cuddly teddy bear that I am. Every day, I walk to work as 1, our car isn't in working condition, and 2, it only takes a half hour to walk there. Plus, I had weight loss surgery a year and a half ago, so walking helps me get some exercise. I was on my way to work just as it started to snow, and I decided to stop by the Burger King that was on the way. I put my mask on and entered the building to get in line. When I walked in, an older woman was having her order taken, and an older man was standing near the line. We will call him Chad. I asked Chad if he was online. He said yes. A few moments later, a man older than him came out of the bathroom and joined him. We will call him Kevin. Kevin, did you order yet? Chad, not yet. Still online. Kevin, seriously, can't these people go any faster? I just want my burger. I'm standing there, scrolling on my phone as I wait for the line to move, and internally rolling my eyes. The woman finishes having her order taken, and Chad and Kevin move up. Kevin, I want a burger. Just a plain burger. That's it. Cashier, okay sir. That'll be this much. No wait. He points to Chad, wants a coffee. Chad, medium, 3 cream and 3 sugar. Yeah, and please hurry. Chad pays for the order, and I step up and place my order. Me, I'd like 2 spicy chicken juniors with onion and tomato, please. I pay for my order and stand to wait for it. Now the time is about 11:30 am. Lunch rush is in full swing, and as I don't have to be at work until noon, I don't mind waiting a few minutes. About 2 minutes pass. Kevin, can't these retards move any faster? I just want a burger. Hey, can I get my food, please? Chad, I just want my coffee. They can't even give me that. The staff ignore them and go about their business getting food out as fast as they can. The woman in front of us gets her food and politely leaves. The cashier places a small to-go bag on the counter. Cashier, 1 bacon cheeseburger. I look around, wondering who ordered a bacon cheeseburger. Kevin and Chad are busy talking amongst themselves about how slow and useless the staff are. A moment passes. Kevin, where is my burger? Cashier, I apologize, sir, it's right here. She holds up the bag with the bacon burger. That's a bacon cheeseburger. I didn't order any bacon cheeseburgers. I asked for a plain burger. Get me my burger. I'm so sorry for the mix-up, sir. I'll get it for you right away. They need to stop hiring retards. At this point, I'd had enough. I'm not okay with people being attacked unless they truly deserve it. And these employees certainly didn't deserve it. I turned to Kevin. You need to lower your voice and speak to them with a bit more respect. Kevin, excuse me. Have you ever worked fast food? No. Then shut your mouth and wait for your food. I'm overheating in my coat, trying to breathe in this stuffy mask, and I'm risking being late for work. Yet you don't hear me complaining. These people are exhausted, they are overworked, they are hot and ache all over, and they are underpaid. You came here in the middle of the lunch rush. Did you not see the long line of cars outside when you came in? These employees are moving as fast as they can. Unless you can look me in the eye and tell me you know exactly what they are going through, you need to shut up and learn some manners. You're what? 150 years old? That's plenty of time to learn at least the most basic manners. With that, I thanked the cashier, took my food and left. I didn't look back to see the look on Kevin or Chad's faces. I'm not good with confrontation, and I was shaking from what I'd just done. But I was very proud of myself. I've never worked in fast food. I'd worked in grocery stores for 11 years before I started to pursue my current career in teaching. But my best friend works in a fast food restaurant, and I can tell you that they most certainly are overworked and underpaid, and customers like Kevin and corporate make them feel like nothing. Story 3. He's ugly. I never want to see him again. Well, first off, shout out to the creator of the click. I found the courage to share this story because of his videos. Thanks, I guess, because this is truly unbelievable. I apologize if my English comes across a little wonky or not the best, since it's not my first language. I hope I'm in the right place to post this here, as this is actually my very first post anywhere on Reddit. This is probably going to be a long story. I'll try to keep it as short as possible, but there's a lot of nonsense to go through. So be prepared for entitled parents who can be unbelievably foolish. The first part of the story takes place after a lot of things had already happened with my mother, who at the time was 53 years old, and myself, who is 20 years old and non-binary. It all began when my mom first met my dad, who I will refer to as Mark, in a club back in 2004. The first red flag appeared almost immediately, because Mark, who was 43 years old at the time, actually lied about his age. He pretended to be about 5 years younger than he really was. I guess it was because of his fragile ego. My mom eventually found out by seeing his identification card, if my memory serves me right. Despite that, they continued to see each other for a while. Eventually, my mother discovered she was pregnant. When she told Mark, instead of showing support, he gave her an ultimatum. either continue their so-called relationship or have the baby. Obviously, she chose to have the baby rather than stay with someone so inconsiderate. Ending the pregnancy was never an option for my mom. I should mention that Mark was drunk when he said this. At least that's what I've always believed. After that, my mom went through the pregnancy with some complications, though those aren't really the main focus of this story. To keep it short, I was born prematurely and developed some severe allergies. Mark showed no interest in being part of parenting, so after about a year, my mom went to a lawyer to get full custody. That's where things escalated. The situation became so bad that it eventually went to court, and Mark even tried to deny being my biological father. Things got far more intense than they ever should have. In the end, Mark was forced to take a paternity test to check the DNA, until the results came back proving that he was indeed my father, and the court sentenced him to pay child support. He refused to contribute a single cent. Yes, that meant my single mother had to raise both a toddler and a teenager at the same time, while also working full hours just to ensure there was food on the table and a roof over our heads. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but unfortunately, there's much more to the story. After my mom gained full custody of me, things didn't get easier. At that time, I was very sick, dealing with allergic asthma triggered by mold in our apartment. My mom had to work incredibly hard just to provide us with a safe home and food to eat. Looking back now, I'm extremely grateful for everything she did. Even though my mom and I had a complicated relationship of our own, I can admit that I was a very typical child with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, something I was officially diagnosed with when I was young. A few years later, Mark had found a new girlfriend. By then, I was about 7 years old and, without realizing it at first, I had become an older sibling. During a summer holiday, my mom and I had a talk about how Mark never wanted to have contact with me. She was very open and honest about the situation. She wanted to make sure I never thought it was her fault for blocking any contact with him. She made it clear that he was the one who chose not to be involved in my life. Around that time, we made plans with some family friends to take a vacation together in another village, a few hours away from home. It was one of those places where you could rent a house, but the whole area was like a village with multiple families staying there. The drive to our vacation spot happened to pass close to where Mark lived with his new girlfriend and their newborn baby. Because of this, my mom suggested we make a short stop so that I could meet him. So there I was, 7 years old, carrying my little travel bag, holding my old Nokia C24 phone, which was basically indestructible, and fueled by my hyperactive mindset. My mom walked me up to Mark's front door and rang the doorbell. When Mark finally opened the door, my mom told him that he should at least talk to his child. She then returned to the car and waited for me to call her when it was over. What followed was supposed to be a conversation, but it lasted only about 5 minutes. In truth, Mark didn't speak to me for even 3 full minutes. I don't remember much of what was said, because it was hardly a conversation at all. But I do remember the exact moment I walked back to the car. I was in tears when I got in, and the very first thing I said to my mom was, "He's ugly, I never want to see him again." Nowadays, I laugh about it, but at that time it was really painful for a 7-year-old child to go through such an empty and hurtful interaction with a parent. As the years went on, things changed again. A few years later, Mark broke up with the partner he had a child with. Almost as soon as my mom found out, we tried to get in touch with the mother. That's when we discovered something shocking. Mark had never told them that he already had an older child. That meant my younger sister, who only just turned 13 a few weeks ago, had no idea she even had a sibling. We eventually met for the first time in person around Christmas in 2020. Despite everything, our relationship has been wonderful ever since. I truly love my younger sister, even though we haven't had as much time together as I wish we did. Sometimes it's difficult because of the distance. Visiting each other requires about a 3-hour car ride. But even with the distance, I'm so grateful we connected. It gave me something positive out of such a negative history. Unfortunately, Mark's irresponsibility didn't stop there. It turns out that he stopped paying child support again. Since I'm a student, I have the right to receive government support in the form of financial assistance. To explain briefly, I receive around $800 a month, but I'm only allowed to use half of it. The other half must be paid back later once I finish my studies. Because of this, Mark decided he didn't have to pay child support anymore, pulling the same behavior as when I was a toddler. He was sentenced for not paying, yet he still tried to get around it. To make matters worse, he even submitted incorrect paperwork, which made it look like he was supposed to pay less than he actually owed. Essentially, he faked documents. My mom and I eventually went to a lawyer about it, and we might pursue the issue further. Maybe there will be an update in the future. At the very least, I can say that I now have a wonderful younger sibling whom I truly love, even if our relationship isn't like everyone else's. My past certainly wasn't always pleasant, but I'm incredibly thankful to have people like my older sister, my younger sister, and especially my mom. They don't get nearly enough credit for all they've done for me and for everything they've endured just to give me a better life. Despite all the difficulties, I've grown stronger because of them. My mom worked tirelessly, my sisters gave me companionship and understanding, and together they became the true family that mattered most. In the end, my 7-year-old self was right all along. Back then, after that short and painful encounter, I said I never wanted to see him again. Now, even after all these years, I still feel the same way. I haven't seen him since, and honestly, I hope it stays that way. Story 4. Being 6'5" means dealing with constant comments about my height and struggles that come with it. Finding clothes that fit, ducking under doorways, and dealing with people complaining about my height at events. But I never expected what happened at the baseball game last weekend. My job as a social worker at a community center downtown is demanding, but I love helping kids and families get back on their feet. After a tough week dealing with several difficult cases, my colleague surprised me with tickets to the local team's playoff game. I was excited. I hadn't been to a baseball game in years, and the weather was perfect for it. I got to the stadium early, bought some nachos, and found my seat. It was a great spot, about 15 rows up from the field with a clear view of home plate. I settled in, checked the program, and watched the teams warm up. The stadium was filling up quickly, and the energy was building for what promised to be an exciting game. About 10 minutes before the first pitch, a middle-aged woman with short blonde hair and a team jersey squeezed past me to get to the seat directly behind mine. She was carrying a large beer and seemed already annoyed about something. I stood up to let her pass and gave her a polite nod. The game started, and I was really enjoying myself. Our team got an early lead, and the crowd was into it. But during the bottom of the second inning, I felt someone tapping my shoulder. The woman behind me demanded my attention, telling me rudely that I needed to sit down lower in my seat because she couldn't see anything with me sitting up like that. I looked at how I was sitting. I was sitting normally in my seat, not slouching but not sitting up straight either. I apologized and told her I was just sitting normally, but said I would try to slouch down more to help her see better. I tried to scrunch down in my seat, which was uncomfortable given my height, but I wanted to be considerate. Every few minutes, I felt her tapping my shoulder again. At first, I thought maybe I had straightened up without realizing it, so I'd adjust my position. But the tapping kept coming, even when I was slouched as low as I could manage without sliding off the seat entirely. She complained again that I was still too tall and that the situation was ridiculous. I explained that I was sitting as low as I could and reminded her that I had paid for this seat just like she did. She snapped back that I should have thought about that before buying a ticket, saying that some people actually wanted to watch the game. The people around us were starting to notice. A family with kids to my left kept looking over, and the older couple to my right looked uncomfortable. I felt embarrassed, but I also felt like I hadn't done anything wrong. Then she started kicking my seat. Not just little bumps, but actual kicks that jolted me forward. I turned around and politely asked her to stop kicking my seat, explaining that I was trying to watch the game too. She told me to move instead, saying there were plenty of other seats and I should go find one where I wouldn't block everyone. I told her I wasn't moving because this was my seat. That's when things took a darker turn. She made a comment about how typical it was, saying that my people always think we're entitled to everything. I felt my stomach drop. The way she said it made her meaning crystal clear. Several people around us heard it too, and I saw a man 2 rows down turn around with a shocked expression. I asked her what she had just said. She told me I had heard her clearly, then suggested that maybe if I wasn't so busy taking up space where I didn't belong, the rest of them could enjoy the game. My hands started shaking. I deal with a lot of difficult situations in my job, but this was different. This was personal, and it was happening in front of dozens of people. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. I told her she needed to stop talking and reminded her that I hadn't done anything wrong. She argued that I hadn't done anything wrong by asking if I was serious, claiming I was ruining the game for everyone behind me. She said that when someone asks nicely to move, I get all defensive. The man 2 rows down stood up and told her to leave me alone, pointing out that I wasn't doing anything wrong. She angrily told him to mind his own business and that this didn't concern him. She turned back to me, and I could smell the alcohol on her breath. She'd clearly had more than the 1 beer I'd seen her carrying. She complained again about paying good money for these seats and said she wasn't going to let some thug ruin her experience. That word hit me like a punch to the gut. I stood up, not to intimidate her, but because I was shaking with anger and needed to do something with the energy. I told her that was enough and she needed to stop right now. She asked what I was going to do, wondering if I was going to get violent. She said that was what she thought would happen. She was getting louder and more people were staring. I saw someone a few rows up pulling out their phone to record. The last thing I wanted was to end up in a viral video, so I sat back down and tried to ignore her. But she wasn't done. She kept making comments, loud enough for me to hear, but quiet enough that she probably thought others couldn't. Comments about where I belonged, about people like me, about how the neighborhood was going downhill. In the 6th inning, our team hit a home run. I stood up and cheered along with most of the stadium. It was an automatic reaction, the kind of thing you do at baseball games. But when I sat back down, she exploded. She yelled that she'd had enough of this situation. Before I could react, I felt cold liquid splash across the back of my head and shoulders. She had thrown her entire beer at me. The sticky liquid ran down my neck and soaked into my shirt. The people around us gasped. A woman behind her stood up immediately and asked if she was insane, wanting to know what was wrong with her. I turned around, beer dripping from my hair, and saw her standing there with the empty plastic cup in her hand, looking defiant. She said that maybe now I would get the message and move. I told her she had just assaulted me. She dismissed it by saying it was just beer and told me not to be so dramatic. But other people were already flagging down security. 2 security guards in yellow shirts were making their way up the steps toward our section. One of them asked what was going on. Multiple people started talking at once, pointing at her and explaining what had happened. The man 2 rows down was vocal, telling the security guard that this lady had been harassing me all game, making racist comments, and had now thrown her beer at me. He said he had seen the whole thing. Another fan backed him up, confirming that she had called me a thug and said I didn't belong there. The security guard asked her if this was true. She claimed that I had been blocking her view and that she had asked me nicely to move, but I had refused. She said I was being aggressive and threatening her. I told the security guard that wasn't what happened at all and that I was just sitting in my seat. The security guard looked at my soaked shirt and then at the empty cup in her hand. He asked her directly if she had thrown a drink at me. She admitted she had thrown beer at me, but said I deserved it. The security guard told her she couldn't throw things at other patrons and that she needed to come with him. She protested that this was ridiculous and claimed I was the one causing problems. The security guard explained that they had multiple witnesses saying she had thrown a drink and made inappropriate comments. He told her she needed to leave the stadium immediately. When the security guard escorted her out, she kept yelling back at me, saying this wasn't over and that my people always play the victim. The security guard had to physically guide her toward the exit while she continued her tirade. The people around me were shaking their heads and offering me napkins to clean up. One fan told me he was sorry that it happened to me and that her behavior was completely out of line. I thanked him and said I appreciated everyone speaking up. The family with kids to my left had the father come over to me. He said his kids had seen all that, and he wanted them to know that what she did was wrong. He told them that nobody should be treated that way. I thanked him and spent the next few minutes cleaning beer out of my hair with the napkins people kept offering me. My shirt was soaked, but I had a light jacket in my car that I could put on. About 20 minutes later, a different security guard came back to check on me. He told me that the lady who caused the disturbance had been banned from the stadium. He also wanted to get my contact information in case I wanted to file a report with the police. I asked what had ended up happening with her. He explained that she was escorted off the property and wouldn't be allowed back. He said she was also pretty intoxicated, so they had called her a cab rather than let her drive. I decided not to press charges. Part of me felt like I should, but I just wanted to put the whole thing behind me and enjoy the rest of the game. In the 8th inning, our team was up by 2 runs when the stadium announcer came on the loudspeaker. He reminded everyone that their stadium was a place where all fans should feel welcome and safe. He announced that discriminatory behavior and harassment would not be tolerated. Then, unexpectedly, the camera found me in the crowd and put me on the big screen. The entire stadium erupted in cheers and applause. People were standing and clapping and I could see fans throughout the stadium giving me thumbs up. I waved to acknowledge the crowd, feeling overwhelmed by the support. It was the complete opposite of how the game had started. We won the game in the 9th inning on a walk-off single. When I was leaving the stadium, still wearing my jacket over my beer-stained shirt, several fans stopped me to shake my hand and tell me they were sorry about what happened. One older gentleman grabbed my arm gently when I passed. He told me he'd been coming to games there for 40 years, and that woman was way out of line. He said I had handled that with more class than she deserved. Story 5. So this happened to me about 3 years ago, so I don't remember the super fine details. I stopped off at a local Wally World to do some shopping, groceries, cleaning supplies, and some vehicle maintenance supplies. I had gone through there like a storm, picking up what I needed as far as non-food items with my reusable bags in the kiddie seat, so the only thing left to get were the groceries. Quite a nice old lady. As I'm getting ready to grab what I need, a little old lady comes up to me for help. Keep in mind, the store employee dress code: a collared navy blue shirt, khaki or black pants, and a blue vest with a company logo. I'm wearing a black Metallica t-shirt, light blue jeans, and a black baseball cap. Old lady, excuse me, can you help me? I have been trying to get some help for a while, but all of your other co-workers have just blown me off. Me, I'm sorry, but I don't work here. She takes a minute to see what I'm wearing. Then it clicks. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. It's just that I'm having a hard time trying to reach this. It's not easy being vertically challenged, her words, not mine, and being ignored by a bunch of lazy staff. It also doesn't help that my back is bothering me right now. My advice: never get old. I chuckled a bit after her last line. Trust me, you're preaching to the choir. Anytime I ask if they have more of a certain item in the back, the tired excuse I get is, if it's not on the shelf, we don't have it. The only exception is the automotive department. Those guys actually do check. At that point, I reached up, grabbed the item she needed, and handed it to her. Anywho, here you go. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate the help. I really hate to be a bother, but could you help me reach some of the other items I can't get? Again, I'm vertically challenged, and it's really painful for me to bend over. I thought about it for a minute and figured to do my good deed for the day. Sure, I'll help you out. It's not like any of the employees are jumping at the chance to earn their paychecks anyway. Am I right? Oh, I know what you mean. So I'm helping out the nice old lady, getting the things she can't get, getting some of the things I needed as well. And this carried on for about 20 minutes. After she got what she needed, she thanked me for the help and started making her way down towards the checkout area. I finished up with my shopping and checked out. I paid for my stuff and left. As soon as I had everything I paid for in my house, I started putting things away, collapsing my reusable bags as I go. The bags I had were foldable, with a flap, when down, help keep the bottom of the bag open and ridged. I get to the last bag, fold up the flap, and to my surprise, there was a $100 bill and a note thanking me for the help and kindness shown. I never saw the nice little old lady after that. Story 6. Hi everyone. Yesterday I read a story that kind of reminded me of this event that happened back when I 35. Female was in the 3rd grade, about 9 years old. Doing this on mobile yada yada yada. English is my first language. Mistakes are all on me. It was around Halloween, and during class we had a lot of small Halloween art projects to do. Making ghosts, small decorations, you know the drill. Now in my particular classroom we had our regular teacher, and there was a student teacher as well. I can't remember the name of the student teacher anymore, so I'll call her Karen and my regular teacher will just be the teacher. The student teacher didn't do much of the teaching at this time. I think she was early on in her program, so she mostly just supervised the classroom. For the most part up to this point, I liked her just fine. And me being me, I really wanted to impress her and be noticed. I was a quiet kid and was bullied quite a lot, so as a result, I didn't really have any friends. I was very lonely. So one day leading up to Halloween, we are given an assignment to take black construction paper as a background and use other color contrition paper to cut out Halloween-type objects, ghosts, pumpkins, etc. to make a haunted house picture out of the cutouts. In my school, there was a hallway that everyone traveled through daily to get to one side of the school and the other, so sometimes exceptional work would be hung there to be observers by other members of the school, a kind of bragging wall, if you will. So, we were told if we did really well, some of our pictures would be hung in this hallway. I was super excited. Here was a chance for me to stand out as something other than a loser. For background, I never understood, and I still don't know why I was singled out by my entire grade to be bullied. My family didn't have a lot of money, so I never got to wear cool clothes or anything. But I didn't look poor or anything. I was well cleaned and kept. But for some reason I lost the friend lottery. This continued to happen till about the 7th grade, where I finally met some nicer kids and have been friends ever since. Anyways, I go to work making my project. Karen walks around the classroom looking at everyone's art and admiring their work, giving pointers and generally making the other kids feel good about their work. Eventually, Karen goes to sit at her desk and students bring up their finished work to see. I'm working hard and have made what I thought was a cold house with lots of ghosts, pumpkins, bats, a full moon, the works, or at least what little 3rd grade me could do. Eventually, I get it to where I want the work to be and nervously bring it up to the student teacher to see. I was so excited to find out what she would say about mine. My desk was actually in front of hers, so I had heard all the nice comments she made to the other kids. I had her my work, and she gives the following critic. Well, I have to say that if I were to select this one to hang in the hallway, I would be completely embarrassed to have this represent our class. I was crushed. I sadly took my picture back and nodded my head and sat down in my seat and cried. I was heartbroken. I had worked so hard, and she thought it was terrible. Teacher came up to me and asked me what was wrong. She asked me if it was something Karen had said. But me, for some reason, not wanting to get her in trouble, I was a real pushover. I said no and continued to cry, but more silently. I look back and wish I had said something or stood up for myself. But I was such a lonely and sad kid. I guess I wanted to do anything to feel accepted. I'm better now. I still have no art skill because I never worked on it again. But I think because of my experience I have learned how to, hopefully, raise my son to be a stronger person than I was.